Hi everyone. I realise it's quite odd for me to start with a bare desk. Excuse me, but today's video is going to be slightly different. I have had a request from someone to talk you through my pencil collection, and that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to show you all of the pencils that I have and talk you through them a little bit, what I think of them. It's just my opinion. It doesn't mean it's true for everyone. Everyone does have different tastes, but I thought that I can understand why you might like to have a look. So all my pencils are stored in a little IKEA cart with 3 shelves, most of them. There's a few that aren't. And so I'm going to be reaching and grabbing them. Now this is a pastel set of pencils. This is the first one I'm going to show you. Now I'm really impressed with these pencils. I haven't put them away very nicely. Excuse me. But you see they have all the pastels that you would want really. We have yellows, oranges, pinks, a purple, a few greens, bluey green and blues. They're in a funny order, I know. And they're not very well sharpened. Now these, they sharpen nicely, they hold their point quite well, but they are quite soft. They do crumble a little bit, but they're nice. This one is a little bit fluorescent, neon-y, but that's okay. But they are quite a cheap budget pencil. I was gifted them, and the lady who's given them to me won't mind me saying this because she told me, she said to me, I knew that you had pastel tint Castell Arts on your wish list, but I wanted you to try these because they're much cheaper and see what they're like. And she had them and was impressed. And I have to say, I've not got the pastel tint, so I can't compare, but I am really impressed. It's a lovely range of colours. And they are quite nice on large areas as well because they're quite smooth, so I like them. And they do a 24 set, so I'm probably tempted to get a 24 set once these get small, whenever that might be. But so as a pastel set, I'm impressed with those. Pastels generally, I've got another pastel set here to show you. Pastels generally are a little bit tricky. Trying to shade with them is hard, but what I try and do, I tend to mix them with darker tone pencils. Now this is a Chinese set called Marco. There are Marco pencils, I don't know if this is the same. And this is a pastel set that I was sent to review. Now these, obviously there's more, so you get a better range of colour. They are still fairly soft actually, like the others. They're a bit more painful because they're hexagons. These other ones are triangles, and they're really matte and soft on the surface. They're lovely to hold. Maybe it's just me. Whereas these are a bit shinier. They aren't quite so comfortable. They aren't uncomfortable, but they aren't quite so impressive. Some of the colours are a little bit dark, but that's okay because you get a difference in different tones. There's a nice range. Again, you've got some neons in here. Some of them are a bit bright, but these break more easily. You can see there's quite a difference in height, and that isn't really because I've used some more than others. It's because they broke a bit when I sharpened them, which is a little bit annoying. It may have been my sharpener because I did change the blade just after these kept breaking. But I would say I don't know how much these cost, so I can't talk about value for money to compare them with the others, but that's those. Now my next set is an interesting set. These were given to my husband as a gift a while ago, and they are metallic crayons, pencils I should say, and they came from America, so I don't know this brand. That's his name, which I think is partly why she gave them to him, which I think was really cute. And also he does art, so he's used these a little bit, and so have I. Now these are really creamy. I would liken them to not even more so than Prisma. They're like colouring with lipstick, I would say. Really, really thick and creamy, and they blend together really nicely. In fact, I can show you a picture I've done with them because I've got it really handy. The lettering is done with them, but you can see they're not terribly shiny. They're a little bit shiny, but most metallic pencils aren't massively shiny, but you can see how well they blend together, which is really nice. I had a lot of fun. The colours are a bit muted, but I think most metallic ones are, and I actually rather found that quite attractive and had fun with that. So that's those. There are metallic pencils. Castell Arts have brought some out fairly recently, and I know a lot of people are trying those. I'm quite keen. I've just put them on my wish list, but because these are so fun, I thought I'd try some different ones. But they're never as impressive as a metallic pen with regards to shine, but you know, bit of fun. Next set of pencils I have are these. These are beautiful pencils. If you saw my Christmas, I got these for Christmas and I showed them off on my Christmas gifts video. I have used them once to swatch them and that's it. They are so pretty. I wanted them to take photographs with and I haven't. I've just kept them in the box and they're gorgeous. I do need to use them. But I haven't yet, so I don't even really know if they blend or anything, but they are just gorgeous. And I got these from well, I ordered them for my husband to give me for Christmas, and from Indian Will, which is a shop which is local to Johanna Basford. And I was trying to support small businesses at Christmas, and although I did a lot of local ones to me, they didn't sell these, so I got those from there. And the design is by Katie Daisy, and she actually does a colouring book. I had, and a couple of other books as well. They're very pretty, but they aren't quite, I did have them on my wish list, but they're not on there anymore. I wasn't quite sure, you know, not sure, but these are extremely beautiful, but colouring wise, who knows. Right, next set. These are all my little sets, by the way, that I stand sideways in my trolley. So these are Derwent Chromaflow. I will open them up. They do a 12 and a 24. I'm lucky enough to have the 24, which you can see are quite unevenly lengthed. Lengthed? What a word. So you've got yellows, orange, red, salmony pinks and strawberry pinks, and a sort of magenta pink, purple, dark blue, quite a few other blues here, greens, another orangey brown, browns, black, light grey and white. So you've got an interesting selection. You've got all the colours that you're going to need really. Now Derwent generally I find break easily. This one was breaking, hence I put it in my rotary sharpener. I've got a Derwent sharpener because I wrote to, and this one as well. I wrote to Derwent because some of my Derwents were breaking, not this set, and they sent me a sharpener. They said use this one, which is called a mini point sharpener. Oh, it's spilling bits all over the place. And they don't break. They rarely break in there. They do occasionally, but they rarely break in there. So it does work, but once your pencils get quite short, you can't use it. So that's a bit of a problem. But I find all Derwents can break a bit. So this set isn't any different to any others. I don't know how much this cost. Someone sent this to me as a gift, which was lovely. I like the range of colours. They blend nicely. The wood doesn't look of the highest quality compared to some other Derwents, but I don't care. It doesn't matter. The wood's a bit splintery, but it doesn't affect how well they sharpen or how well they colour. So that's those. And I like the small tin. It's really handy for taking out and about. So I went to the doctor's to have my jab, and I took these with me. They're nice and portable in my bag with a small colouring book and easy to sort of use. You just can tuck the lid behind and you can just swap over the layers of pencil as you need to. So I found that was a good selling point of those as well. Next this is my last mini tin, Holbein. Now I bought these when Holbeins were being talked about a lot. Everyone was wanting them, trying them, etc. Now this cost me a lot of money and I'm still not sure whether it was good value, but I'll show you what's inside. Not all of these are from the Holbein set. I should just take out the 3 that aren't. Hang on. There's 12 in this set. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So those are the 12 that you get. So you get a rose pink and a pink and a salmon pink, which is quite orangey. You get a little cream and a Naples yellow. Oops. You can see I've used these quite a lot. You get the wisteria and this mauve, a lettuce green, a sky blue and a lavender blue, the cobalt green and the ice green. Now with these pastel shades I found them difficult to make a different tone of colour. So often you'll see me colouring and I will do more layers and get a darker, more intense colour and then fade that. With the pastel tones I couldn't do that, it didn't really work. So even if I tried to sort of fade the colour, it didn't fade. So I was put off these for quite a while, but then I realised that you need to really mix a pastel tone with others. I did buy a few more Holbeins. These were a few of the ones I bought. I bought these open stock from Coloured Pencil Shop. So there's a leaf green and a sand and a khaki. I don't know how I fitted them in. It's probably that one was there and that one, no. Oh, I don't know. I'm going to have to fiddle with that after. So that's those. So I'm still not sure if I think Holbein are good value for money. You know, they're expensive. Right, this is my next set. This is a Castle Art Seascape set. I was sent this as a gift as well. And this has got an interesting range of colours. Now, castles generally, I've got quite a few castles. If I talk about them generally, and then I just show you the little sets. Castles are a budget-ish range. They're not dirt cheap, but they're cheaper than the big brands. And I think they offer good value for money. If you can't afford a big brand, these do work well. They shade nicely, they blend nicely. You can layer them up really well. You can't open the tins apparently. There we go. And yeah, they don't break loads. I haven't used this set a lot. I have a bit, but they're quite long, aren't they? I haven't found one that breaks a lot. Some brands I found certain colours seem to break a lot more than others, but with these I haven't. So this set is Seascape. So we've got some yellows and browns, orange, and then we've got reds and purples, blues. That's a sort of purpley blue, greens, a few more browns and black. Now my big problem with a lot of these sets is you get a white and a black with most of them, and so I've got loads of whites and the whites are rubbish. No set that I've shown you so far that's got a white in has got a good white. For me, a good white layers down on top of other colours and shows up, so you can use it to fade. Okay, and I'll show you an example of me doing that in a piece. Here, this piece here that I did, we've got the wings. Now what I did was I did the background. I only did one layer of background and also these branches and things here and here. And I did these first, and then I got a white pencil and I went on top and I faded that down so that it looked see-through. And I used a white Prismacolor pencil for that, and it worked brilliantly well. And there's about 3 layers there though. It took a bit of time and work, but you can actually see the colour fading as you colour on top. Most whites don't behave like that. The castles don't. The whites don't. I'm sure if you use the white on a black piece of paper it would look fab, and because you get a white with all of them, I'm like, what am I supposed to do with all these whites? So that's a big problem for me. But then if you only buy one set, you may need the white. There we go. Now that's the Seascape, and I also have the Botanical set. This was the first set I was gifted, which was lovely. So it's a special set for me. I think Johanna had been giving them out with one of her books. I can't remember which one. And I was interested in it, and you can see I have used it. Now the short pencils in this set are not indicative of the fact that they break. They are just the ones that I have used more. I think that purple might have broken a couple of times, but apart from that it's just use. This is the Payne's grey. It's a really lovely grey. You can see I haven't used the black so much, but you get a nice range, botanical range. You get quite a few greens, which is nice, and browns, but you also get a few florals. I think this is quite a good one to have, apart from the white. Again, my bugbear, but there we go. This yellow is quite pale as well, but I think if you just want a range of castle to try out, then this is a good one to buy because it's got a nice range, and because if you're like me and you colour a lot of Johanna Basford and you've got botanicals, it's a perfect one, hence the name. Okay, so that's those. Now I bought this one myself because it had quite a few trying to listen to what's going on outside. Had quite a few pencils in that I didn't have from Castles, because I have got a 72 set, which I'll show you in a minute. So I had some vouchers, so I got this for free from Castle. I spent some vouchers. So this set, as I say, it had colours that I didn't have in the other sets, and I haven't hardly used it, which is a bit naughty, but there we go. So it had a mauve and a purple lake. The purple lake deep is my favourite, so having a purple lake was quite attractive, and also other colours that I really like in here. The cobalt blue as well, I don't think I've got in other sets maybe. So it just had, and the emerald green I don't have. So it was just, I just picked it because it had quite a few colours that I don't have in other sets, so I thought that was quite fun. It's an interesting range because it's Monet and it's based on this picture. There's very few in the sort of orange section here. There's a burnt sienna and a flesh deep, but they're not really orangey. So it depends what you want from your picture. If you, as I say, the Botanical set is quite a nice all-round set. This for me, probably you could combine and make orange, but you know, if you wanted a more general set. But I really like the colours in this set. Whoop. We have a bit of a crash. Bear with me. I'm just going to stop the camera and do something. Right, I had my pile of pencils fell over. I've rescued it now. So we're moving on. These are Arteza premium pencils. Now again, Johanna Basford was using these quite a lot, and I just wanted to have a go and see what all the fuss was about. So there is a disadvantage in these in that they don't come in a tin, they come in a tub, which means you can't lay them out and see them. So you have to tip them out like this, and then if you want them in colour order, you have to sort them out, which I tend to do every time, which can be a little bit tiresome. But having said that, they're triangular. They work in just a normal pencil sharpener. You don't have to worry about the shape. They sharpen to quite a good point. And I think that they are pretty good value for money, I have to say. They keep their points quite well. They blend nicely. There's quite a nice range of colour. But you do have to just be aware that with these Arteza Premium, with the Arteza Premiums, there are 2 sets. Now, I'm not sure whether there's still 2 sets on the market, but this set is different to the one that Johanna Basford had. And I think that the set you buy off Arteza's website is different to the set you buy off Amazon. That may have changed. They may have just discontinued one and just kept with the other. I'm not sure. But I think I got these from Amazon. I can't remember. So, but they have a nice range of colours. There's some really lovely purples, which I feel is missing from some sets. I have to say, purple is a beautiful colour. I find some purples can be a little bit pale in some sets, and when you blend them, they look grey and muddy. There's some nice amethyst in this set, which is pretty, and some nice blues as well. So I think this offers quite good value for money. If you like a harder pencil, occasionally they can be a bit scratchy, but for a budget range, that's probably what you might expect. Right, I'm going to move on to Black Widow. This is the second set I was ever sent as a gift, and so they have been quite well used. Now, Black Widows, you can see they're black. Now, this is an old set, obviously. You can see they're getting quite short. The new sets of Black Widows now have dipped ends, which means they're dipped in the paint of the colour of the lead. Lead isn't the right word, but you know what I mean. Which makes it a little bit easier, because with these you have to identify them by either the name or the tip. So it can be a little trickier. I'm used to it. It doesn't worry me too much. And because it's red metallic on black, it shows up really well on every pencil, which makes it easy to identify. And I love the names. Here is the inside of the lid, will tell us. Let's put the light over the spider for those of you that aren't keen. There we go. And you have some really great names. They've got a few spidery names here, but Toxic Green and Fan Green and things like that. The only thing I found most annoying is the order. Why would you go red, yellow, brown, blue, pink, orange? It doesn't make any sense. And I think that's the order they were in the box, so I reordered them. I like to reorder things in a order that makes sense for me. Again, we have a pretty redundant white, which I don't think I've even barely tried to use. I've never sharpened it. So that is those. Now with Black Widow, let's move the spider out of sight for you quickly. They have, and this is the Black Widow Cobra set. I'm hiding the snake because I'm not a fan, I have to say. This is the Cobra set. This is one I've had a lot more recently. A friend sent me these for Christmas. And with the Black Widow, there's a scorpion. The spider set has got a nice range. It's a nice one to start with because you've got, if you look at my set rather than the lid, you've got yellow, light orange, darker orange, really deep orange. You've got a orangey red, a pinky red, a pink, purpley pink, purple blue. You've got the greens in the wrong place. You've got a couple of other blues, quite 4 greens, 4 browns, a grey and a black. So that's quite a nice mix for botanicals, and you've got a little bit of everything. Whereas the sets that they made after are meant as a supplement to the original, as far as I'm aware. So we've got a scorpion set, which I don't have, and this is the Cobra set. And you can see we've got quite a few yellows, oranges, reds, pinks, a lovely range of 4 purples here. They're gorgeous. This is our only blue. It's called Aquarius. It's a bluey green. And then we've got 4 greens, I think. Yeah. And these browns are reddy browns. They're not, you know, they wouldn't do for wood. But we've got a couple of different greys and a flat black. So we don't have a repeat of a white, which is brilliant. We have completely different colours. And they also now do a monarch set, a dragon set, and there's 2 skin tone sets, but every set has different ones in. So the aim is to sort of build up your collection. I feel that with my original set and this one, I've got a really nice range. I had a nice range before. It's always nice to have a few extra, isn't it? So that's interesting. Let's get rid of that Cobra. He frightens me. That's the big disadvantage of the Black Widows, is the snake. Ugh. And for some people, the spider. Now, I'm missing a set of pencils. Anyway, we'll come back to those. They're on the floor. I'll find them for you in a minute. These are Arteza Expert. Now, these are the premium range, and there is a difference. You can feel the difference when you colour with them. I'll show you. They come in a tin, which looks a bit more upmarket. We've got a protective thing on. There's 3 layers. They're round, for one thing. They are softer so they are really nice for backgrounds when you want to do a nice even blend, when you've got a big area where you want it to look nice and smooth. The white is slightly less rubbishy than other whites, I think because it's a softer pencil. Okay, so I'll show you the colours. I'm not sure if these aren't in the order they were sent. I think I rearranged them. I'm a terror. So we've got some yellows, and then we've got more browny yellows and some peachy colours, which is nice because I don't have those in many sets. And then more oranges, and this one looks quite, this is a sort of corally peach colour. And then we've got our reds and a couple of pinks. As I said, I've rearranged them so they might not feel in a good order for you, but that's how this is called Coyote Brown. It's actually a very browny green, but we have greens now. Quite a lot of the greens are bluey greens, but we have a lovely more olivey green now, which is my favourite. It doesn't break a lot. I just use it all the time. It's gorgeous. And then we have some browns, and again, these are quite reddy browns here, but we do have some much darker browns here. We don't have a light brown that isn't reddish, which for me is a little bit annoying, but you know, we can make our own colours. We don't have to always use what's here. And we've got the greys. There are some browner greys and some more silvery greys, which I like. And in the bottom here, now this looks neon and it isn't. It's a bright pink. We have a selection of pinks, and we have a nice lot of purples, and this one, the Amethyst Purple, is very pretty. As you can tell, I like it. It's quite low. This is a really nice blue as well. So we have our blues, and these are our sort of greeny blues, which I've sort of separated off so I know which is which, because I don't swatch my pencils, so I like to just grab and go. So those are those, and they come in these little plastic trays. I have to say I don't like the red colour. I'd rather if they were black. but that's just my personal opinion. Now my last set in this top tray, this is just my top tray. I'm just going to grab, it's on the floor because I was in the middle of using it. So these are my 72 Castle art. So you can see I've got a lot of these. Now this one, the lid is broken. It doesn't stay on. It's fine for use. It stays on most of the time, but I wouldn't want you to take it out with me because the lid's broken. So let's push this up so you can see what we get in here. So get another redundant white and black. And then for me, it's not enough greys. We've got a cold grey deep and a cold grey and a Davies grey which is slightly brown, and that's it. Now I'm used to having a lot more greys than that. I'm also find the range of browns quite small. We've just got 3. You know, you can use that that grey brown to soften them a bit, but for me that's not many. But our greens. So we start with a sort of sage green, I would say. It's called Terra Verde. And then we have got some olivey greens, some leaf greens, and then some more bluey greens at this end. And this one at the very end is a teal green light. It's really quite bluey. So that's quite a nice range of greens. I have got a pink, it's missing. I'm in the middle of a picture and it's the one I'm using, so I've kept it out of the tin. That's how, rather than scribbling it down and remembering, I've just left it out of the tin. So that's a pale pink. So we've got a nice range of blues leading to purples. I love the purples, they're very, very pretty. And we've got a pinky purple as well, which is really nice. And quite a range of pinks. These are called purple, but I think they're pink, but you know. And a couple of reds here as well. And then down here we have more reds. So some pinky reds and more orangey reds. And then the sort of, these are called flesh, these colours, but for me they're sort of light pinky peach. I wouldn't say flesh, but anyway. We have oranges, and then we have our yellows, and we have some browny yellows, and quite a lot of lighter yellows here. But you notice that my order, that one looks darker, but when I swatched them, that one was lighter. I find that the colours on the bottom doesn't always relate that well to the colour on there. So that is one little drawback. But you get to know your pencils after a while. Once you've used them a while, you get to know what looks like what, particularly sets you've had a long time. So that's my 72 set. Now Castle do 120 with all their colours, and these are soft touch. Castle now do a gold set, and I think these are, they're made differently, and a few of the colours are a little bit different, but I haven't tried them. Don't know. There are loads of reviews out there of those, so we'll see. So that's my Castle. So that's my first tray. I've also got pens in this tray, but I'm not going to show you them. This is purely pencils today. Now, these are Polychromos. This is this. Polychromos were the second set of pencils that I had, but not this one, a 32 set, 36. Anyway, I went from Staedtler to Polychromos, and these are the pencils I know the best. And if you can afford them, I would say go for it. They are beautiful pencils. Couple of reasons. I'll tell you why, and then you can decide. Firstly, they sharpen to a good point, and the point stays for quite a while, so that's rather nice. They do not break easily in the sharpener. I've only had one of the dark greens break quite a lot. You can drop them on the floor, don't, but you can, and they don't. It doesn't break through the lead or anything. They're very strong where that's concerned. And there's a lovely, in my opinion, range of colours which I will show you in a moment. And the colours layer up. They don't smoosh together and blend in the way that Prismas do, but you can layer them up and up and up and put so many layers on and get different depth of colour, so that can be a lot of fun. And because they're my second set of pencils that I used, that's I think why I like them so much, because I've used them so much. So I'm going to show you the layers. This is the blues mainly, nearly all the blues here. So you can see we've got more dark blues, and then we've got some sort of sky blues, and then a whole different tone of blues here, and these are more turquoisey. So we've got quite a few different types of blues, which is rather nice. And then here with our greens, these are our bluey greens, okay, in different tones. And then we have our sort of leafy greens, and then the more olivey colours, and you've got a couple of darker browny olive greens as well, and then the sort of more sage greens here. And we have this, I don't know why I've put this here, it's just how it was arranged, I think, when I got them. You've got a green gold, which is a really nice colour, and it's a great gold. So if you don't want to make gold out of lots of browns and yellows, you can just use this one, and it really does give the illusion of gold without adding lots. You've got these three here, which are sort of reddish, purplish colours. And then the next tray, this is usually my top tray. You see, I've used my white quite a lot, but I don't really find it's very good. I keep trying it and hoping it's going to be good, and it isn't. But we've got an ivory and a cream, and then all our yellows. We've got a nice lemon yellow, which works really well with some of the greens. And then the other yellows. Now, when I first got this, thought about getting this set, I thought, I'm not going to use all those yellows. Look how short they are. I do use all the yellows. You know, you do use them. This is a newer pencil, which is why it's taller. So, and then we've got the reds. There's a lot of reds as well. We've got orangey reds leading to pinky reds. And then I like these pinks here. They're more orangey. And then you've got what I would call the Barbie pinks. And then magenta-y purpley pinks. And you've got purples. Now the purples are limited. You've only got a few. These two are quite similar, and two of them are bluey purple. So there aren't many purples. That's where I think you're slightly let down with Faber Castell Polychromos. Partly the purples, partly the lack of pastel shades as well. This is a pale pink, but we don't get a lot of pale pastel-y type tones. And this is the last tray. So we've got more of these sort of reddish browny sort of colours, and these are our, I think these are the sort of fleshy tones, but I use them, I don't do a lot of people, but I use them more for bricks. They're quite good for houses, bricks. And here we have our sort of orangey browns, and then these are our browny yellows, and then our browns. I like the browns, there's a nice range, and all the greys. Now again, I thought I'm never going to use all those greys. It's just not something. Now my dark sepia I use all the time. I think that's my second one. These are the sort of warm greys, so they're more browny in colour. And so they're good for things like mushrooms and rocks. And then we've got the cold greys, which are good for silver. So we've got a bit of a mix. And we've got a black. And then we've got 3 metallic pencils. This is, what's this one called? Copper, silver, gold. They're okay, but they don't shine in the way you would expect. You can't blend them to make different amounts of intensity of colour or anything. They're all right. They're not, you know, I bought them, before I bought this tray, I bought them separately just to try them out as open stock, and I was really disappointed, I have to say, for the price. But it depends whether you like metallic pencils. So there's those. So I think these offer fantastic value for money, but they are really expensive, and they're getting more expensive. So, well, as is everything. So, you know, I would always say with something this expensive, they sell them open stock. Buy a few. Think about what your favourite colours are, or the colours you use most. Buy a few of those to try. Okay. Okay, next we have these. Now these are the first set that I had. This isn't the actual first set I had, but Staedtler Ergosofts were my first pencils, so I know them really well. Now I know these are getting, you can see this is a fairly new set. I know these are getting dearer, so they might not be the best budget-y set anymore. You can see they sharpen to a really nice point. They hold their point well. They're a nice matte outside, but the paint can come off on your hands, this paint on the barrel, which is really bad. And I've complained to Staedtler, and they actually sent me a free set of pencils because they asked me to send them some so they could go put them through some testing, but they haven't changed them. But I think they might be trying to replace them with other sets because they've been bringing out quite a few different sets with their design journey and things like that. So it is a nuisance. When that comes off, it stains your hand here and it can stain the paper. But I have discovered that if you keep them in the tin, they're fine. If you put them in a pencil case, I haven't tried them in one of those elastic ones with the diff set where the pencils are separated, but if you chuck them in a pencil case, they get all dirty and nasty. The matte finish attracts all the pencil sharpenings and, you know, the bits of black and dirt off of razors, and it's horrible. But if you keep them in the tin, they're fine. I don't use them when it's really hot. If my hands are really sweaty, that can be a problem as well. But as a mid-range pencil with a nice selection, you can see what you get. You get 3 yellows, you get a sort of slightly peachy colour, you get oranges, and then you get a nice red, you get a few pinks, different types of pink, a couple of purples, a nice selection of blues. These are quite good for water. And you get your greens, a nice lot of greens. This is gorgeous colour here, you can tell I like it. And a nice set of these sort of yellowy browns and some darker browns, and you get 2 greys, which is nice for making silver, and a black. The white again is a bit rubbish, doesn't work very well, but the others, I mean, coloured paper I'm sure will be brilliant. I'm sure all whites work on coloured paper, but on white paper no. So that's those. They're all, so I would, you know, they are nice pencils, and I do sort of go back to them every so often and think, oh yeah, pencils. Right, this set next. This is a set I was sent by Graby to review. They're made by Giorgione, and I think they're quite popular in some places in the world. They say they're eco pencil. I assume it's to do with the wood. What I don't like is that photo on the front there shows a Faber Castell pencil. They aren't Faber Castell. Now they are triangular pencils. I have no problem with triangular pencils. Again, we have a redundant white, but some of the yellows are a little bit pale as well. We've got quite a lot of yellows, oranges, and you can see the paint is cracking on that one, but it's okay. They sharpen okay, usually quite well. I like these pinks and purples. There's some really pretty shades, and these pinks here are gorgeous, really, really lovely. Now, I'm not a pinky person, but I really like these. This one looks neon, it isn't. It's really pretty. So those are nice. We get a second layer. Oops. Now notice there's quite a few missing. I'll explain why. This is a really nice gold. It works rather like the green gold in a Polychromos. These are quite orange, and I wasn't too keen on most of the browns. The darker browns are nice. A lot of the greens are bluey green, so there aren't a lot of just leaf green or browny greens. There's no olive green, so that's a drawback for me. But you've got a nice range of blues and purples. I think we've got, these are actually look purple, these are all blues. The barrels are the wrong colour, which you find in a lot of sets, and you've got some browny greys and normal greys and a black. And this gold is the best gold pencil I've ever tried, which is interesting with regards to how much it shines. So that's interesting. But you've just got this one odd gold. Now the reason that some of these are missing is because sometimes the lead from inside comes out when you press it. They're not glued all the way through, I don't think. And when you press on the end, sometimes the lead comes loose and it comes out. Now this one has been glued. My husband managed to put some glue down the barrel and glue it for me, but he tried to glue all the other ones that broke. There's 3 of them, and it didn't work. So I've lost 3 greens. The gap is in the wrong place. So I've lost 3 greens because the leads push right through. It's really irritating. So unless you've got a technique for doing that, I know some people have said these do the same thing, but I've never had that experience with those. So whether they've improved them since, I don't know, but it's a bit annoying, and I don't really press that hard. So that was a big disadvantage of those, but they are a budget pencil, and some of the colours, as I say, are absolutely gorgeous. Right, here is my next set. Now these are the most expensive pencils that I own in a tin. I've got a few single pencils that are quite expensive. We haven't got onto those yet. This is getting really quite embarrassing, isn't it? Now Derwent, again, they break. So you pay a lot of money for a big tin of pencils and you find that some of them break. And this is where I complain. Look at the size of that. That's through breaking, not through constant use. So it is a bit annoying. So let's just tip those down. Push it up a bit for you so you can see the colours. Now this is the 72 set. There are some more colours. I think there's 100 now, but I don't know if you get them in a tin or whether you have to buy them separately. I can't remember, or if they just come in a posh wooden box. But anyway, I'll talk you through what I've got. So the greens are mainly, because this is their Lightfast set, they've only done pencils in tones that are Lightfast, which means there's a slight limit to the colours, which I found a little bit annoying. What I find good about them is if you gently layer them, if you press too hard they go all sticky and weird, but if you gently layer them up, which is how you're supposed to use them, you can get a really lovely finish and some beautiful colours and effects. With the greens though, these two are the only sort of leaf grassy green, mid greens, tree greens. The rest of these are either bluey greens or very brown. Okay, and so that's okay. We've got a few olivey type tones, but they're all quite dark. I quite like lighter ones, but I guess the reason they're Lightfast is that they're dark. I don't know. And then we have a sienna, which is a sort of browny colour, and a brown ochre. So we have some quite light ones, which is rather nice for blending and bringing colours together, and they work. Now the white works in this set, the light colours work. So if you've coloured something and it's too dark, you can go over it with a lighter colour and it will make it paler. So that is really useful in this set. You've got a very cute little yellow here, and then you've got a lot of orangey sort of tones. And then your browns, there's quite a few orangey browns, reddy browns, but there's also some more blacky browns, I guess, you know, which haven't got so much red in. Now the very interesting thing with these greys, this one here, actually, can you see it actually catches the light and shines? If you compare it to this one, that one's very flat. This one actually has a sparkle in it, which is, and it's called cloud grey, but I find it's quite nice for making metallics because you've got that sparkle in it. It's really fun. And you've got what looks like, you've got several different blacks here. You've got a midnight black, you've got a normal black, you've got a Mars black, which is a quite sort of brownish black colour, which is quite nice to have that range of different colours. And this is us. We only get the 2 trays with these because this is only 72. So we've got a white. This white's really dirty actually, and quite a nice light creamy colour. Can't see the end. There we go. And yellows, and only one orange, but we've got this orangey yellow, and some of the reds are a little bit orangey. I've been able to do quite nice sunsets with these, even with only the one orange. But we've got a nice shades of sort of cherry red as well, which is rather nice. And then we've got quite a few salmony pinky tones, and that's it for the pinks. We don't have any sort of what I would, well, we have a few here actually. We have these are called purple, they're the more purpley pinks. So we don't have any of those Barbie pinks, fuchsia pinks, those sorts of pink tones which people like. So when you want to do a pink, you end up either doing a really dark pink or a rather sort of orangey pink. There's nothing in between. But these two are nice. You've got a sort of heather purple and a sort of lilac-y lavendery purple. I can't remember what they're called. And the purples are really nice as well. We've only got a couple, but together they work really nicely, the violets. And we've got a nice range of blues. So we've got some sort of more indigo type blues and denim blues, but also more mid blues as well. So that's rather nice, and quite a light ultramarine. And we've got a couple of really light colours at the end here, which you can again use for blending. So overall, they are expensive, and I'm only just really getting used to using them, and I've had them a few years, and you can see how much I've used some of them as well. So I think the technique is a little bit different, but big tip. Derwent, they do a blending pencil. It works really, really well with these. I find when you put a layer down, because you have to press lightly or else they go weird and sticky, you see a lot of white paper. And although there's not always anything wrong with that, if you want to not see the paper, the blending pencil, it's just brilliant. It works excellently well with these pencils, which is probably what you would expect. Okay, what do we have here? Oops. We're nearly at the end, believe it or not. This is a set of Staedtler Norris pencils. Now, I'll just show you the tips here. I'm not going to tip them all out. Now, these are exactly the same colours. There's 24 as the Ergosofts, but they're made slightly differently. I'll take one out so you can see. So you can see they're a stripy barrel. They're horizontal, hexagonal, and they haven't got a painted end, but they are harder. They are the same colours, but they're harder. So it's harder to get a depth of colour out of them. You have to put more layers down. So, but they're cheaper. These are the ones in the UK that we put in primary schools. So they're not designed to be an artist pencil. They're really a student grade pencil. But I won these in a competition. So I've got them. I won them a long old time ago. I've rarely used them. They are okay, and they're nice for small details. I don't want to fit in the box because they hold their point well, because they're quite hard. So if you want to do something that's small, then, and if you've got a lot of patience to put lots of layers down, then they're a good pencil for that. They don't have the name or number on them, which can be slightly irritating for some people, I know. My last set of pencils here, oops, are these. These are Bambino jumbo pencils. They've actually just got them back in stock, so I gather. The box is broken, but you know, hey. These are all the same colours as their crayons. So you get a gold and a silver, and then you get all the colours. It's a nice range of colour. I find this one a little bit odd. It's a bit paler than all the rest. Because they're fat pencils, for want of a better word, not being rude, you can see how thick they are compared to this Holbein. They don't hold their point for long because they've got quite a big lead. They're really for kids, but actually I find them rather nice. I haven't used them loads because I've got the crayons as well, but they're the same colours, as I say, as the crayons. And if you find the crayons too small, then these are a good alternative to use, and they feel and work in exactly the same way. It's almost as if the centre of this is exactly the same as the consistency as the crayon, in my opinion. I might be wrong, but that's how it feels to me. So those are all my sets. I do have two other sets of Staedtler pencils, but one that I was sent and one that I won, but I won't show you those. What I will show you is my loose pencils. Now I have a set of drawers with my open stock pencils in. These are pastel drawers, I think, and I just show you a few of these. I've got my greens here. Now these are Prismas mainly. This is my favourite Prisma, which is chartreuse, I don't know. That's a Verithin actually, it's in the wrong place. So mainly Prismas, there's not, that one isn't. And I bought Prismas to try them out, to see what all the fuss was about. And I use them when I'm doing a Chris Cheng video. If she's using colours I've got, I'll colour along with her. And I do use them if I want different greens. I bought greens because I knew that I would use them, because there's so much green in Johanna Basford that I knew I would use greens. So I bought them, and I found they break very easily in the sharpener. And it's so frustrating. Sometimes you have to sharpen them 3 or 4 times before you get a point. They don't hold their point very well. And so that irritates me. Some people say they have no trouble with that at all with their Prismacolors, and they sharpen fine. So I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I know I've done all the turn the sharpener, not the pencil, make sure you've got a sharp blade, clean your blade, all that. And I don't know whether it's because I'm in the UK and they have to travel so far that maybe they break when they're travelling or what, I'm not sure. But I'm sort of, I'd like a big set because I like pencils, but I'm not convinced they would be the best value for money for me. Now this is a Verithin. I will talk to you about Prisma Verithins in a minute because they don't belong in here. This one here is another Holbein. I bought a few open stock Holbeins and I bought this green to try out. I haven't tried it much. So it just plonked in there with my other greens. A lot of these are Prismas, but I bought a couple of more Derwent Lightfast in greens. I buy a lot of greens because Johanna's books have lots of greens in, and so I use lots of greens. This one is a Derwent Colour Soft. It's called Lincoln Green. It's quite a nice browny green. Now these Colour Softs from Derwent I find aren't so breaky as any of the other Derwents. They don't break so often, which is really interesting. And there's quite a nice range of colours. I've only got a few open stock, but they, as with the name soft, they blend quite nicely. So they're an interesting one to try. I've got a weird mix in here. I went to Coloured Pencil shop, and she had a sale on some pencils that weren't in perfect condition, and these were some of the ones that I got. So I've got a sort of orange Prisma and some blues and some Derwent Studio pencils. I haven't tried any of them out yet, so they're just sitting there waiting. I haven't got round to it yet because I've been working on other projects. These are a few other odd Prismas that I've bought over the years. That's a Holbein. I wanted a navy blue because I didn't have a navy blue colour, so I bought that Holbein. This is a Colour Soft. So these are all pinks and purples in here, different ones that I bought. That was a free a 10p pencil that I got from somewhere, I can't remember. And some of these Colour Softs, they're in a sale, so I just picked them up to try. So that was fun. And this one here is a Derwent Studio. That's a light violet. I haven't even used it, which isn't very good, is it? It's a bit embarrassing. We shall move swiftly on. These are my sort of yellows now. I bought, when I first wanted to find out how to do gold, I asked someone what combo they used, and this was the combo they used. I think that's burnt or dark brown umber. It's the Prisma 947. That's the light umber. That's the jasmine, and that is the yellow ochre, and those were the ones they used for their gold. So I bought these because I wanted to try out gold, and I did it with these for quite a while, and then I realised I could do it with other brands and make up my own. But you can see how I only use these for gold, and yet that one hasn't been sharpened anything like as much as those, and I think it's because those were breaking a lot, which wasn't good. So I put a few other yellow colours in here. So that's a light sand Colour Soft. It's quite short, isn't it? I don't know why. I don't remember using it a lot. This is a really pretty dark honey colour from I just bought that as an open stock Derwent Lightfast. That's a Prisma beige. I bought that because I was thinking of Johanna's Worlds of Wonder and wanting to do house colours, which is why I also bought this cork. And no, that peach is one I just bought because it was on sale. But I didn't really end up using those for houses very much. But anyway, I've got them now. I need to use them a bit more. And we're on to almost our last bit. Oops. Right. We have another tray of greens here. This is a Derwent drawing pencil, and it's a green colour. And it's crag green, and it's actually really soft and nice to use. I really like it. Don't use it very often. I often forget. This is a Colour Soft pea green. It's a really interesting colour and great fun. This is a really nice Colour Soft yellow green. This one I bought open stock to try out. It's a Van Gogh brand, and it isn't very good, to be honest. You don't get much colour out of it. You have to really layer or press hard. I don't like doing that, and it kept breaking, so I wasn't impressed with that brand. Another green there. This is a Studio Sap Green. Now I found these quite hard, so you had to put quite a lot of layers down to get the colour out, and but they're quite pretty colours, those two. And we've got a few more Colour Softs there, and actually there, look, another Lightfast. These are some spare Polychromos, so there's nothing exciting going on in that tub. We have a Derwent pastel pencil here, which I bought to try out. Now, if you like pastels and want a pastel picture, they might be fine, but to add in with normal pencils, I didn't really find it worked very well. This one I bought is a Novelty Pencil. It's got 4 different colours. I thought, oh, I'll mix them together and blend them, but they don't blend. So it just, if you try and mix them together, it just looks like a mess. And I also bought this one. I thought, oh, this is a different one. This is a different brand. Because that one's Lyra. This one's Koh-i-Noor. And I thought, well, look at those pretty colours. They'll blend together. But no, they don't blend. So it just looks like a sort of muddy mess, which is unfortunate. I've got a few others in here. Oops, what have I got? This, oh gosh, not my tripod fly. This is a watercolour pencil. I don't know why I've got it, and I don't do watercolour, so I need to give that to someone who does. This is another Derwent Studio. I bought it because it's a sepia, because I like sepia for shadows and things. This is a Stabilo pencil. This is, think this is a pastel pencil as well. I don't know. I bought a few open stock to try out different things, and yeah, wasn't massively impressed. Now these last two drawers, I'm not going to get them all out. These are Prismacolor Verithins. Now I bought these because everyone was raving about Prismas and I couldn't afford them. So, my mum said, what do you want for your birthday? And so I asked for these. Now, when I first got them, I thought, gosh, they're really hard. They're difficult to use. And I spoke to a coloured pencil artist, and she said they're brilliant for details like fur and whiskers and things because they keep their point really well. Now, I know some people struggle with sharpening them, and I do as well. I can't get them to look neat. When I sharpen them, the points look all jagged and weird, but I can get them to a nice fine point, and I do find them useful. And the colours are really pretty. Look at that. Gorgeous. So I've started more recently using them a bit more and enjoying them. They do have metallic. You get a gold and a silver, but there is a warning on the box that you shouldn't eat while you're using the metallic pencil. So I'm assuming that means they might be toxic. So we need to be a bit careful. We're going to put that peacock green in there because it's got in the wrong place. But that's nearly everything. I can't believe I've managed to talk for 40 minutes about my pencils. So Verithin, I would say, if you want a sharp, if you want something that you can holds its point really well, I would go for it. Now this is my last little box. This is a, I'm just going to pull them out. This is a Derwent box with little spiky, you can stand your pencils up in, it's quite useful. But that's neither here nor there. We have a Derwent burnisher. And we have a blender somewhere. That's the Derwent blender. Now these often come in a pack with 2 blenders, 2 burnishers, although I think you can buy the blenders separately. And people wonder what the difference is. A blender will smush your colours together, but it would also push it slightly down into the tooth of the paper, as will any layer of colour. So the more you layer, the more it pushes down into the tooth of the paper. The burnisher will push it down much harder into the tooth of the paper. It won't necessarily blend, it will push it down, and if you use that, you will probably find you won't be able to add any more layers of colour on top. Whereas with this one, you often can. It depends how many layers you've got and what type of paper you're using. But if you want to use a burnisher, they're really good for things like beaks, claws, that sort of thing, or shoes, where you want a really big shine, so you can push it down and make a really solid colour and then put some white on top, a white pen or something for a shine, and they really work well. But you need to be absolutely sure it's your final layer. Okay, what else do I have here? I have some different, I have a, hang on, what's that? Well, that's a Caran d'Ache blender. We have 2 here. These are Caran d'Ache. This is a full blender, they call it, and this is a pencil blender. Effectively they're the same, but this one's covered in wood and this one isn't. Now for me, this one is better. Although you've got a lot more blending material, whatever you'll call this, in this pencil, if you drop it, it snaps. I dropped mine on the floor, I ran it over with my chair. I've got, I can't find the bit now, but oh, there we go. Look, it just broke off and you've got a tiny bit. It's a bit rubbishy. Whereas the pencil, you can sharpen it. You can sharpen this like a normal pencil, but you can drop this and it's not going to break. So it's up to you. But if you're going to now, but Caran d'Ache, the blender works brilliantly on certain brands of pencil, but not all of them. Johanna Basford tried one and she said it was rubbish and it didn't work. Now, on some brands of pencil, that's true, it does nothing, whereas the Derwent works with every brand of pencil, and I don't really understand why. So, need to be a bit careful if you buy it, if you know, just think about what you're doing. Now, this is a Staedtler blender. They're quite new, they haven't been out for too long, and I find this really impressive. It's a budget, it's cheap, and I thought, oh, it's not going to be very good, but actually I was really impressed. It's equally, I would say, as good as this, which is the Prisma Blender, which I think is really good. I would say this was better than Derwent for the reason that the Derwent, this is really dirty, leaves a yellowy tinge on. So if you've got a colour that you're blending which isn't very strong, it can change the colour. The Prismacolor doesn't do that. It really is literally colourless. It says on it colourless, whereas this one, I don't know why it leaves a tinge, but it's really, really, really good for Derwent branded pencils though. Right, last thing I've got are 3 whites. Now, as I said, whites are rubbish, but these whites aren't rubbish, so that's why I've bought these. This one I bought as an experiment because everyone raves about the Prisma White, and I thought, oh, I'll try it and see, and yes, it's very, very good. And these are Luminance, Caran d'Ache Luminance pencils. They're very expensive, and I bought them because the whites were supposed to be good, and actually the 2 I bought were useless. And I wrote to Caran d'Ache and I said, what's going on? These are rubbish. And they said, send us the details. Each of their pencils, it's been sharpened off, has a barcode at the top which is a unique identifier as a batch number, and they said you've got one from a faulty batch and you've got one that's really old, and they sent me replacements and they were really good. So I bought them open stock from my local art shop, and they must have had them for donkey's years, and they mustn't have been very good. So it put me off Luminance completely. When I bought one, when I asked them if I could try a Luminance a long time ago, they ordered one from their supplier, just an odd one, and I tried it out and it was rubbish, and I gave it them back. I said, you might as well just put these in your tester pot because it's rubbish, and I didn't keep it. So I'm thinking that Luminance are probably a lot better than I think, because I may have had faulty ones, but these are brilliant. I've got a titanium white and a white, and I use them on top of things to, you know, to dull them down if they're too bright, or to add a bit of light and things like that, light and shade. And I've not had this Prisma long, which is why it's so long, and I feel this is equally as good and very much cheaper. So there we go. So that, I think, is me done, finished. That's all my pencils. You have seen, well, I do have one more tin of pencils, and it's another tin of 120 Polychromos, which isn't completely full, which I used to replace the ones that run out of my tin. So I do have that. We bought it just before UK left the EU because we knew the price would go up. So there we have that as well. And my husband treated me to that. So, and the prices have gone up, so we just wanted to get them before the prices went up. So there is my pencil collection. It is huge. It is brilliant. I feel very, very lucky. And what I'm going to try to do is put links in the description to all of these from the places I bought them, or off Amazon or whatever. So if you want to find out a little bit more about them, or anything, you can do that. Go and have a look and have a think. But it is nice having a big selection, but it can be quite daunting as well, thinking, what am I going to use? Or you think, I know I've got a light pink somewhere, but where is it? So, you know, it is good, but it isn't good at the same time. I also have some pens. I'm not going to show you those, as we're going to go on for too long. But I hope that was interesting for you. I'm not trying to show off and say, you know, I've got loads, aren't I lucky? You know, someone asked me if I could show them what I had, so that's what I'm doing, just because it was a request. And I thought I might discover pencils that I'd forgotten I had, which I didn't, which apart from the ones in the tray. So it means I'm using them all, which I think is really good, because one thing for me that's really important is that you use pencils. I don't buy them to look at because they're pretty, apart from maybe I did with these, maybe I did with those, but you know, we should be using things and getting our money's worth rather than just looking. If we buy them, look at them and worried about wasting the money, we are wasting the money. If we're using them, then we're not. So anyway, enjoy your pencils, have fun with them, and I hope that was interesting. I'll find out when I see the stats and no one's watched. But thank you so much, and have a lovely day and happy colouring.